fascia can withstand up to 2,000 pounds of pressure. You've heard those stories about those people that pick up the car, they do this unbelievable thing that where'd they get all that power from? Their muscles didn't do it. That's right, their muscles didn't do it. Their fascia did it. When I graduated college, I started a network marketing company and I met a guy that was doing emotional release technique, and I went to see him. And in one visit, I got rid of pain that I'd been in for 3 years. And I came back on the second visit and said, "What did you do?" And he said, "Energy." And I said, "What the heck is energy?" He said, "It's really cool, huh?" And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? How do I make sure the pain doesn't come back? And he goes, "Oh, that's easy. Just be." Like it was a formula that he understood that nobody else understood.
So Kelly, we were having this discussion before we got on, and I think we need to tackle this subject because every woman is pissed about it and thinks that it has something to do with their age. Let's talk about cellulite real quickly, and then we're going to back up because like every woman is like, why do we have cellulite? And I'm like, we look at the genetics and it's like, I have yet to see a single genetic panel come back that doesn't say that you have the genetics for cellulite.
Oh,
it's not that.
I really just got chills. Thank you so much, Dr. Freddy, because I agree. Cellulite and so much of blood work doesn't really share with what's really going on. And as a trained therapist, as a person who looks at the terrain of the body, the substance of the body, it's mostly fascia and lymph. And when we see cellulite, it's trapped fat in the fascia. The fascia, which we'll talk a little bit about, but it's the covering the soft around all your soft tissue. It is the majority of your soft tissue. It wraps around every organ, every joint. It actually creates the structure of your body. And when we have lymph stagnancy, which moves and mobilizes fats, and it's stagnant, then it backs up. It pushes into what I call the closets. If the house is your lymph, then your fascia is your closets, and it's where your body hides stuff. So it hides all the crap that you can't deal with right now in your fascia, and then you start to see ripples in your skin, but it's actually the netting underneath it, the fascia that's tight, and you're pushing through the fat that's backed up in it because the lymph is stagnant. So as we mobilize the lymph and we open up the fascia, the cellulite goes away. So as a 52-year-old, I'm not going to be 52 until next month, but I'm going to be 52 soon. And when I was 49, I broke my elbow on black ice and dislocated my shoulder and dislocated 6 ribs. So it was quite a fall on black ice. And long story short, it took me 9 months to get out of pain because I didn't do the surgeries and all the things they said. I just healed it by facilitating my own body. When I could finally have full range of motion, my arms and my shoulder, I looked down at my legs, Dr. Betty, and I was like, oh gosh, what happened to my legs? There's cellulite all over my thighs that I've never really had before because I'm a very active person and I do this and apply this for 28 years. I've been doing this a long time. So I was like, well, I got to get that into action. So it's taken me, it's interesting, about 9 months of lack of activity. And now it's been another 9 to 10 months and it's finally melting away. And it took about as long to get it as it did to get rid of it because, one, I'm not devoting 2 hours a day to this. I'm devoting 10 minutes a day to it. It's not that important to me from a box perspective. Like the outside of the box doesn't have to be shiny for me. It was more for me like that's a sign that there's stagnicity. And what I noticed as I rolled my legs is my hips got way more flexible, as did my ankles. And through my healing of my elbow, I actually had to treat the whole body because you do. And a lot of the healing came in my ankles because why did I fall? Not once, but twice in 4 months. I broke my elbow, dislocated my shoulder. 4 months later, dislocated my ribs.
Oh, wow.
It was 2 falls. And why? Because I wasn't grounded. Because my feet, I wasn't stable on the ground. And now I'm more stable and flexible than I've ever been in my life at 51, almost 52. And when cellulite comes on, it doesn't mean it's there forever. You can turn it around. Like I watched my left arm got all saggy and gross and weird and my skin changed. And I was like, oh God. And I was going through menopause, right, Dr. Manning? I literally I'm 2 years and 2 months into not bleeding. That's my symptom. So I know I'm in menopause. And I'm about to get blood work, actually. Just got blood work taken. So we'll see what it actually looks like. And then, but I was like, whoa, what the heck is going on? And then when I was able to reverse it, I was like, see, age doesn't have to do with it. It's not about age. It's about what are we applying in the science of energy to turn that ship going the other direction, as Dr. Betty and I both know you can do at any point in time.
Yeah. Well, it's because, women are always complaining about that superficially, but they don't realize that's an indicator of other things. Now, I want to ask you, Kelly, how did you get into lymphatics, body structure, the bioterrain of the body? Because I know that wasn't your original intent when you came out of high school, right?
Yeah, actually, no, it's as all stories, we all have our story, right? And as my story goes, I wanted to be a doctor since I was a little kid. My dad had Hodgkin's, and when I was 7, I was told he was terminal. Now, he didn't die till I was 20, and he had cancer multiple times. He had chemo, radiation, and many other health concerns. But when I was at Cornell, pre-med, I was in a horrible car accident my first semester, and I was left with a lacerated spleen. I lost 2.5 inches in height, compressed vertebrae, and I was scalped on my head. And I was just told to manage my pain and to stop rowing because I was a collegiate rower. And that was that. And here I was looking at this world of medicine, wanting to be a doctor to prevent chronic illness because my genetics were staring at me in the face. And my 55-year-old father had a stroke the month after my car accident. He had another stroke 5 months later, and he died 11 months after my car accident. And I sat there outside of the hospital on 6 medications, one for acne, one for asthma, one for allergies. I'd been on for 4 or 5 years at that point, and 3 for managing pain. And I just was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I went to my counselor and said, I don't want to finish my degree. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to do this because this isn't working. And in all honesty, there was a depth of sadness and grief that when I said I didn't want to do this, I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to be 30. I was 20 and I didn't want to be 30.
Yeah.
Because I was already living in so much pain. It was already so miserable. And what did I have to look forward to? A bunch of chemo and radiation and cancer. This wasn't looking pretty. I'm so grateful that I know myself well, that even though my family fought me about taking off a semester, I took space.
Yeah.
I needed a breath. I almost died. My dad did die. I was at Cornell to be pre-med. I was paying for my own school. So I was like, I need a minute because I don't know what I'm going to do with this degree that's darn expensive. So when I returned, I went into pre-vet because I grew up around animals. I really loved medicine. I was like, I'll just be a vet. And I found that they were cutting out radiating and medicating it. I found that the birth control pill was created at Cornell University to help give cows more cycles so they could create more milk, while they were also giving it to me for my ovarian cyst that started 1 month after my car accident. So my eyes started to be opened. And I had some great influences. My coach from rowing, who's still the coach at Cornell University at men's, I just had some great influences that kept me following my heart, in all honesty. And when I graduated college, I started a network marketing company, and I met a guy through that network marketing company as I was selling water filters and air filters because I believed in it, that was doing emotional release technique. And I went to see him. And in one visit, I got rid of pain that I'd been in for 3 years. And I came back on the second visit and said, what did you do? And he said, energy. And I said, what the heck is energy? Because I had a degree in biology, and I was very honestly confused by what he said. And he said, it's really cool, huh? And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? How do I make sure the pain doesn't come back? And he goes, oh, that's easy. Just be. Like, it was a formula that he understood that nobody else understood.
Yeah.
And he was just like, oh, be. And it's funny, I just called it a formula because I've never called that before. But in all honesty, it was a formula. And I'm a scientist, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm an N1. Who else can we apply this to? And so as I started sending him my friends and people that I knew that were suffering, everybody got better. So I'm like, okay. So then I started working with them, and we opened to practice the same year you did in 2005, 20 years ago. Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Wise, yes.
And that clinical practice turned in from doing vibrational energetic medicine to me getting a microscope, then me getting a heart rate variability machine, then me getting contact regulation thermography, and me getting all the scientific assessments to prove what we were doing was not just making people feel better, but was actually making physiological changes. Yeah. And so as I've done that for 20 years, I turned around during COVID and went, I'm not doing my job. What are they putting on masks for? Why are they getting shots? Don't they understand how their immune system works? It's all about the lymphatics, because when you learn about how the body works, when you learn terrain, and I'll get to that in a second. I know that was a question. I turned around and was like, oh, there's a formula. And when we apply this formula to every single person, it facilitates their healing, because we don't fight disease. We open up the blockades and we allow the body to heal. And when you do that, literally miracles happen. So that's what happened to me, right? I had a miracle, and I was like, hold on, like, what did you do? And he goes, energy. And I'm like, well, how do I make, oh, just be, well, what the hell are you talking about? So I just hung on to his coattails. I read every book he told me to read. I went to every little class I could possibly take in energetic vibrational medicine in the 90s, which wasn't a lot, kids, wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
And then in 2000, we graduated in 2006. So in 2006 we found it. 2006, graduated in 2008. We found the Paracelsus, which was a clinic in Switzerland, and they were teaching about European biological medicine. And we started taking those courses, and I started to learn the science behind this energy. That was the live blood, the heart rate variability, the contact regulation, thermography. And I was like a kid in the candy store. And what I constantly came back to is the lowest common denominator was the lymphatic system. As I tested it, as I saw it on the live blood, I'm like, okay, so regardless of how their liver's functioning or their kidneys or their hormones, in all honesty, if their lymph isn't draining, then it's sending out bad signaling to the cells, and the cells can't perform their proper functions. So we got to clean out the filters. And, I was raised on farms, and I was raised in a pet store. I worked at a pet store down the street, and an aquarium pet store. And if the fish was sick, the first thing you did was change the water. You didn't just instantly get out the ick stuff to treat the ick. Which was methylene blue, by the way. First thing you did was you changed the water. So when I learned terrain medicine, and they looked in the mouth and they saw the teeth, well, as a farmer, what you do, or a dog or cat vet person, is you want to know the health of an animal. It can't talk to you. So you have to look at its mouth. You have to look at its tongue. You have to look at its mucosa. If you're a farmer and you want to know if the land's healthy, you have to look at the soil to know if it can grow good plants. So this all made so much sense to me. I'm like, yeah, this is the organism, the body. This is the what we've been given to take care of. But nobody told me how to take care of it. Everybody just told me how to treat it when it was sick, and to watch it and wait for it to be sick. That's what my dad did. He did the old, oh, you're good now. You're cancer free. Come back in 3 months and we'll test you again and see if you have cancer. And we'll just sit by the phone and wait for the call to see if you got cancer again. Then we're going to run out some chemo and radiation. And honestly, Dr. Reddy, when I was 16, there was something just born in me. I was 16, sitting at the oncologist with my father, fighting my dad over what he was eating while he fought me, because he said I didn't eat more than a bird would eat. And I said, well, all you do is eat burnt meat and boiled potatoes. There's got to be more to this. And when I went to the oncologist with my dad at, it was in Buffalo, New York, the doctor said, oh, it doesn't matter what he eats. You don't know anything.
Ladies, if you're noticing more fine lines and wrinkles, it's not just about aging. It's about the loss of estrogen. And that affects our skin structure, making it drier, thinner, less firm. But here's the great news. I've created Menopause Mastery Cream to help. This luxurious bioidentical estrogen cream supports your natural hydration and elasticity. It's packed with nourishing oils like olive, jojoba, aloe, and coconut, so it feels amazing and helps soften those lines and bring back that healthy glow. I've been using it, and let me tell you, my skin has never looked or felt better. It's smoother, more radiant, and those little cracks and creases are way less noticeable. If you're ready to give your skin some extra love, check out Menopause Mastery on the Metabolic Blueprint website. And that's metabolicblueprint.com/Biest Mastery. That's BIEST Mastery, MASTERY. And your face will thank you.
And while to this day, I would say that's about 10% of your body is what you eat and what you put in it. 90% of your body is non-physical. However, the physical mattered. And the non-physical is a whole nother story. That's what I spent 26 years really studying, because it's the energy that runs that physical body. And it does matter what we eat. And it does matter what he was telling himself and what his trauma was from his mom dying when he was 9 and having to go to work as the youngest of 3 in an Irish Catholic family that was poor.
Yeah.
And all the things. Like, we all have our stories, but my story was, I don't know. All I know is that there was something inside me always that made me question, but that doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
that doesn't fall in alignment with love. That doesn't fall in alignment with peace. That doesn't fall in alignment with joy. And I don't know. I just believed when they told me this was supposed to be heaven on earth, that this is what I'm here to do. So here we are. And I'm telling you, the key to that heaven on earth is the lymphatic system. And it is the fascia. It is the portal to the non-physical. It's the portal to your health. And it's the portal to your self-care. And I know that self-care is the new healthcare.
Right.
And then as you start caring for yourself, you can work with functional practitioners that can read your blood work, read in between the blood work and go, we're not waiting for there to be a problem. Look, this isn't optimized. This isn't optimized. And this is what this tells us. Let's tighten all this up and get you to be in charge of the things that you are in charge of, which is this. And there are absolute ways to facilitate its healing. And that's the formula that we created in energy flow, energy, fascia, lymph, oxygen, and water, because you're 90% water molecularly by weight. And that's your lymphatics. That's your water of the body. And most of us have really dirty water tanks. They're thick and jelly, and you're wondering why your fish is sick. And I sit there and go, well, your liver's sick and your kidney's sick because look at the culture that it sits in. And when I look at live blood, I'm looking at your culture. I'm looking at the spaces between the cells, and that is your lymphatics. So for me, it's really simple to just go, is the water structured or not in the body? And are you in regeneration or degeneration? Because it's as simple as that. I mean, all the science that I've studied, every quantum physics to physiology to biochemistry, it's really boils down to 2 things. Do I flow in the wave of regeneration? Or do I flow in the wave of degeneration? Because I'm never stagnant, never still. And then when I flow in towards regeneration, do I make beautiful, sacred geometry water crystals that are ever changing, ever moving? Or do I make distorted, incoherent, inharmonic water crystals spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and energetically? And when we have all those in alignment, we don't chase healing. We facilitate healing and allow, when I take the remedies, when I take the bioidenticals, they're going to work better because I'm on a system that's actually in the parasympathetic mode, that's healing and draining the toxicants, that allows the liver and the kidneys to detoxify through more drainage, through pooping and peeing. But sweating and breathing, you will lose more through there than you will any other place in your body.
Yeah.
And that's through your breath, which is part of your lymphatic system.
Yeah. I want to give some definitions for my listeners and watchers on YouTube. So let's talk about the fascia. I think most people don't realize that it's all one gigantic. You know what my visual for the fascia is? Because, it's the wrapper around that like silky, like purplish looking wrapper around like a piece of chicken or something like that. But my visuals, do you remember the tape from back in the day that has the strings in it?
Yes.
Yeah. Like in my head.
The Scotch tape that had the threads in it.
The threads in it for packing. So it was hard to cut through. That's what I see. But I don't think people realize that it's all one gigantic sheet.
It's
behind the teeth.
It's a great question. So we start off embryologically when a sperm and a cell come together, there's light. And light then becomes fabric. And that fabric is your fascia. And that fabric then creates like a net, and then your heart starts to develop, and then the vessels and all the arteries. So actually you're fascia more than you are anything else. And it's this fabric, it's what Gil Hedley calls it, who I'm a huge student of, that literally, as you say, wraps around every organ and joint. And it does suspend our organs, and the bones actually float in it. And fascia can withstand up to 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch, by the way, per square inch. So, when you've heard those stories about those people that pick up the car, they do this unbelievable thing that where'd they get all that power from? Their muscles didn't do it. That's right. Their muscles didn't do it. Their fascia did it. The fascia is our shock absorber. It is when we fall. When I fell on my elbow, the body created a cast. It swelled up and it did what it properly did. It actually was isolating that that area. That's the natural cadence of how the body heals, and the fascia does that. So when we get cut, the fascia, the fabric is getting cut. Now, what is that fabric? Well, it's collagen fibers that are elastin. So they contract and then they contract and they expand. They contract and they expand. When we move, when we walk on the ground, our feet are touching, and there's a piezoelectric effect that happens with movement. It's actually ionic exchange that happens with movement that travels up through the tissue known as your fascia, through the collagen fibers that are elastin and contracting. And as you're moving, you're creating this vibrational effect that's moving up through all these fibers. And as long as there's no dams in that road, then all the traffic goes through. But you know what the dams are? Scars, injuries, and insults to your physical body. Yeah. If you were a car and you got a little dent in your car, most of us would fix the dent in our car, right? How many times do you stub your toe and just keep walking?
Yeah.
Or you sit for 5 hours and you get up and you're a little stiff and you're like, yeah, but I got to go get some kid. And so I'm going to get back in my car and do another thing that I'm going to be sitting for. How often do you actually get up and unwind the body from being in a particular position? Because the fascia, if it doesn't move and it's supposed to create this like beautiful gliding through hyaluronic acid, which creates this gliding, which makes it very slippery. And then we have good range of motion. When we don't have that good movement, it gets sticky. Just like when you wake up in the morning and you move your shoulder and you're like, oh, why'd that go? When you're 20, you don't notice it. When you're 30, you're like, what the heck? When you're 40, you're like, oh, it's old age. When you're 50, you're like, this is just what happens when you're old. Unless you're Kelly Kennedy or Dr. Betty Murray, then you're like, nuh-uh, that's not what happens when you're old. That's just because you don't know how your body works. And when you move, you actually create movement where there wasn't. And then that space allows that lymphatic flow. And then that gets the toxicants to breathe out, push out, poop out, sweat out. But it's the movement of the fascia that allows that. And oftentimes we just sit in the same position. We move in a certain way. Like before the car accident, I actually had carpal tunnel in both wrists because when I first went to Cornell, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what a rower was. I grew up in farm country. We didn't have rowers in farm country. I got on this darn rowing machine because I like to work out. I didn't know what it was. And I got recruited off the rowing machine to go to the rowing practice. And I was working out 4 to 6 hours a day. I maybe was a little obsessed because I found this new thing that was so fun. By 5 to 6 months into it, I couldn't move my wrists. I have tiny little wrists to begin with, and I was overusing them, doing this new thing because when you row, you actually twist your wrist, and my body had never done that. So I'm twisting and pulling to the point where these wrists were like, I'm done. I'm not going to move anymore. And I was writing a lot of notes because I was in class, driving a stick shift, like all the things, and they froze up. And I can tell you that damage is why I never unwound it, which is why I broke this wrist many years later doing some stupid athletic thing. And why I didn't unwind that is why I actually broke this wrist. Because when I went to fall, my body did not, because I watched my body fall that day. And I was like, why are you putting down your elbow? That's really stupid. Put down your wrist. But like, while I could watch it, I couldn't change what was happening, right? And I'm like, that's really dumb to fall on your elbow. That's not going to be good. But in reality, when it was unwound, I recognized how screwed up my wrist was from 10 years ago that I never fully unwound. And that couldn't have held me. And I probably would have slammed my head. And what made that decision? Me or my mammal, the fascia? The mammal, the fascia. And the mammal, the fascia, is keeping you in protection. And by testing heart rate variability, that's the problem. Most people are in protection. And when you're in protection, you're not flowing. Your body's shut down in fight, flight, or freeze. And our dear friend just wrote a great book about this called Biology of Trauma, Dr. Amy Arpagian. Please read it. It's amazing.
Great book.
And it teaches you that your physiology is from traumas. And then how do we unwind that? We feel what's happening in here by putting our breath back in it.
Yeah. I think, but there's also, obviously, like I think of it as the fascia gets knitted together when they're supposed to slide across each other. And so they get bound. But then we have some very, very significant biological changes with the loss of our sex hormones. We see a reduction by at least 30% of collagen production. Hyaluronic acid goes away, basically. So we dry out. And then we see things like tendinopathy and other, fascial things. We see all of the structures of the body. The musculoskeletal syndrome of menopause can kick in if we're not doing active things. And I think a lot of women, they wake up and they again say what you say, like, oh, I'm just, it's getting older or whatever. And there's two parts. It's keeping your lymphatics and your fascia lubricated and moving. And then there's also the very real aspects of changes in your physiology that are going to make this harder to do.
Well, yes. And so when I broke my elbow at 49, I had been postmenopausal for about 4 months. And so when I went to the orthopedic specialist, he was like, oh, well, we just have to do the plates and the screws because there's no way you're going to get full range of motion back or pressure because you're postmenopausal and you don't have enough estrogen and blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, I really appreciate your take. However, I know that Mother Nature heals, and I know I'm going to do everything it takes to get this fascia and lymph movement because I'm a body worker and I need full range of motion back and I need full pressure back. And when the only way he agreed to that was exposing me to radionic x-rays every 5 days for the first 3 weeks to make sure that my bone was going to stay in alignment and that it was going to continue to heal. So I have x-rays to prove all this. By the time we were done on April 1st of that year, which I thought it was April 1st was funny, was the last day of my x-ray. And when he pulls it up, I looked at it and go, Dr. Green, tell me that my humerus doesn't look stronger now than it did before I broke my elbow. He goes, it actually does. And I was like, yeah. And I broke my olecranon, but my whole humerus got stronger because of what I did to keep doing it. So yes. And what I've noticed as a menopausal woman is I've had to move differently to get my body to rebound differently. And it's way less action than I used to give it to get what I get out of it now. And that doesn't mean it's just for menopausal, it's for everybody, because when you allow the body to actually go in that healing, you'll be amazed at what the body can still create, and getting rid of the stagnicities and up leveling the hormones because the body doesn't have such stagnicity that it's in this acidic degeneration mode. And hey, proof is in the pudding. I just had my lab work done for the first time in 20 freaking years. So I decided that I should probably do that, even though I don't have any symptoms. So I literally am waiting any day for it to show up. And then we'll show with everybody what it actually looks like, because I'm not taking any bioidentical. I know it freaks all my friends out. But I want to show that in nature, we don't do this. And for me, the way Kelly Kennedy does it is if nature doesn't do it, I don't do it. And what I see in nature with animals is that they tend to slow down as they get older. That's natural.
Yeah.
And they don't have a conscious mind to override themselves, but we do. So what if we were consciously going, I don't want to get up today, but what if I did? And I got up and bounced and moved my body? Might I actually create a little bit more energy? And I will tell you, you will.
Yeah. So I'm curious about this, because if you look at mammals, there's only a few mammals that survive postmenopause, right? Most every mammal passes away shortly after fertility. So I totally agree with you on the movement. We have to move differently. We have to respect our fascia. We have to respect our lymphatics, and we have to take care of our body in a way we never took care of it before, because we might have been able to treat it like a dumpster for part of our life, right? Or at least a little bit like that.
And our muscles, right? All those things.
Yeah, all of those things. So do you think where you are today that you would never consider hormones? Which I'm an advocate for every woman having that conversation. I don't think everybody has to have them. I'm curious.
You know why I love Dr. Betty, and all you are listening to her, so you love her as much as I do. She's one of the most authentic, open-hearted, open-minded people I've ever met. Truly. You are one of the most special people I've ever met.
Oh my
most
gosh,
people would not ask that question. And I wouldn't have said what I said to most people because I couldn't have handled it. And I appreciate you willing to have that honest question. So here's what I'm going to tell you. So I have a good friend who's in our industry who does a lot of peptides and hormones and all that stuff. And she came to my center recently and she did a CRT. And for the first time, I turned to her by reading her CRT, and I said,
Say what a CRT is. Say
okay,
what that
sorry.
is.
Contact regulation thermography. So this is a 128-point temperature assessment of the full body. Then you cool off for 10 minutes. Then you take the temperature again. And this is the test that actually made me a lymph snob. I saw the lymph in the heart rate variability. I saw the lymph in the live blood rather. CRT is the test that we do with all the chronically ill clients. And I started to see a lot of athletes at some point in the first 5 years. And what I noticed is the athletes and the chronic ill people all had stagnant lymph. And I was confused, to be honest with you. As a scientist, I was confused. And so I just tested a bunch of people to see what was going on. And CRT is the only test that I know that gives you quantitative assessment of the lymphatics. It's not the picture. It's not the thermogram. It's a thermography. So it's an actual temperature reading. And every single person's lymph was jacked. Now, I have seen for 20 years patterns. Chronically cold old sinuses, inflamed lymphatics, and cold thyroids no matter what. This practitioner walked in my office 3 weeks ago, did her CRT, and she had a warming thyroid. And I turned to her and I go, okay, I might look at doing bioregulators and peptides, maybe. After my blood work comes back, I'd be willing to discuss it because I've never seen a warming thyroid on somebody who also has all the other things that are screwed up. So the only thing that I can attribute that to is her bioregulator and her peptides, which are precursors to hormones. So I'm always all the way upstream as far as I can get to let the body do what the body does. That said, I'm not opposed to clients doing BRE or BHT, because if you're going to listen, not everybody is going to break their elbow and go, oh yeah, I'll do 4 hours worth of work on myself and use every piece of equipment and feel pain for 9 months. Most of you should probably go get the surgery, get the screws and the pins and deal with what that brings you. You're not me, right? Yeah, everybody has the capacity to do this. You're just not going to maybe be as devoted and committed and willing to go through what I went through. I am a science experiment.
Yeah. Me too.
I have devoted my life to science in my life. And as a postmenopausal woman that doesn't have symptoms of menopause, except for the greatest one of all, that I don't get my period and I can't get pregnant because I don't want to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And I got true freedom now.
Yeah.
I will say a lot of other things have changed for me. Now, I don't know if it's turning 50, breaking my elbow, or going through menopause because all of them happen at the same time. But I will say that my ability to care less about what other people think has increased more than ever. And, but that's kind of been me my whole life. It's just taken a whole new turn in the last 2 years.
Wait till you get to 55, 56. It's like
What's going to happen?
It gets more like I was always like, yeah, that might be your story, not mine. So I was always very much like rules are meant to be negotiated. And I don't know if I agree, but now I'm just like, there is zero filter. Like it's every year it gets a little more broken. And so, but I think it's good. And I'm glad we're having this kind of conversation because, I was talking with somebody the other day and we were talking about peptides, and there's the peptides for weight loss, GLP, GIP, that are very obviously very popular and have lots of different applications. And then we have a ton of bioregulators and other peptides. And, we get a lot of questions at our clinic and even with the telemedicine company about peptides. And I'm like, look, do I think they have a place? For sure. My husband has used some. I have used some from off and on. But I'm like, if you're not doing all the other stuff, like taking care of your lymphatic, sleeping, moving your body in the ways that help restore not only strength, right? But we need dexterity, flexibility, stability, all these other things. If you're not doing all those other things, $1,500 worth of peptides a month isn't going to do jack shit for you.
Mic drop. Betty Murray. No, I agree. It's 100%. This is a practice, not a pill, and what I would like to call everybody's attention to is this. Listen, I am not saying allopathic medicine doesn't work. It totally does. It's a great system and it keeps you exactly where they want you. And if you are bleeding profusely from your body, please go to the emergency room. They will patch you up like nobody's business, right? Maybe if you have enough broken bones, you can go there too. Outside of that, you got to learn how to take care of your body. And there is no pill that's ever going to bring you to wellness, ever. It's an internal job. And this is not just physical, this is emotional and spiritual. I'm sure Betty Murray could talk about that because I know this woman personally. And I can tell you that she knows how to overcome obstacles on every level. And that's why she's awesome at helping you all come over your obstacles, because she's gone through more than likely. But that's what we do as leaders, is we overcome more so that we can teach you how to do it. And don't ever go to somebody who hasn't done what you want to do, because they can't teach you to do something they haven't done.
Oh, yes, I agree. I agree. So let's kind of pull this back. So we've talked a lot about the fascia, and that, creates basically tightness and structure, and it's because of your injuries and other things. So let's circle back a little bit to the lymphatics, because there's a ton going on all the time. Because again, I think of it as like your plumbing and your sewer system. It drives both clean water and clean stuff, but it also can be the sewer that's stopped up. What things would a woman who's maybe 40 to 60 look at and go, is this really happening for me? And I'd say, if you're alive, yes. But what are the big signals they could be looking at?
Yeah, that's a great question. So constipation, hormonal disbalance, sleep issues, rashes, headaches are the top 5. Those are all signs and symptoms my lymph isn't working. I'm not sleeping well. I'm not digesting well. I'm not hormonally, I'm feeling off. I have rashes on my body because my skin's pushing out what my lymph can't tolerate. And I forget what the other, but it's like, oh, headaches. Like I'm hypersensitive / headache. So like I can't tolerate anything. I'm the canary in the coal mine. Water. I've had a client actually call me to tell me that this was about 17 years ago, but she said she reacts to water. And it took every cell in my body to not giggle, because I knew what she meant was that like everything she reacts to, but you're water, so you can't react to water unless she was drinking tap water. But that said, it's the people that can't overcome stuff. That is your lymphatics. And if you're stuck in a pattern, that's your fascia. If you're, it's always the same things, then your fascia's stuck. You're stuck in a pattern. And by opening up the lymphatics, what we notice right away is people's bowels move and they urinate almost the second they get done with pumping their lymph. Then what they notice is bigger range of motions, better digestion, better sleep, and in general, calmer nervous system. Because the way that I teach lymph, when I started teaching this 5 years ago, I just wanted to teach like how to open up the lymph nodes, because a lot of people knew about dry brushing, but it's ineffective, to say the least. And it was all about the lymph nodes and getting down to those deeper, that you have between 600 and 1,000 nodes deeper in all the areas that we bend. And it's about opening those up to get the fluid to move. But then I recognize that a lot of people are just teaching that, like, that's all you need to do for lymph. And I'm like, well, that's like having a steering wheel in your car and all you know how to do is this. Well, yeah, you can steer your car, but you're not going to operate how fast it goes or anything. So you can actually mobilize and not just move your lymph, but it's about your lymph and your breath. The formula that I started talking about in the beginning is your lymph is so much more than just this water, but it's about your lymph and your breath, your lymph and your fascia, your lymph and your movement, and your lymph and your emotions. And when you practice the ability of those things to move and express and move through, you can have a lot of space so that when new things come in, physically or emotionally or mentally or whatever, you can process it through the digestive tract, through the mental tract, and you can let go of what's not yours and hold on to what is. And the lymph is part of your circulatory system. So it circulates your fats, your nutrients, as well as your toxicants and your pathogens. And if you're dealing with chronic vectors, bioweapons or chronic, infections, then you want to look at your lymphatics too, because that's where your lymph nodes are identifying what the pathogens are. They're maturing your white blood cells in your thymus and your bone marrow, which are both lymphatic organs. And your body makes white blood cells in your small intestines and spleen, which are both lymphatic organs. So your immune system is 100% dependent upon the lymphatics. Your circulatory system is dependent upon the lymphatics. We can live without oxygen for about 3 to 5 minutes. We can live without water for 5 to 10 days. We cannot live without the lymphatic system for 1 minute. not 1 minute. And for all those that are talking about, oh, but cancer and I don't want to move lymph. When you diaphragmatically breathe, you're moving your lymph.
Yeah. Anytime you contract muscles, any contraction at all, moving your foot moves the lymph. And if you don't move, it's going to be concrete. It's just going to solidify into some nasty, silly concrete.
This silly concept of I can't move my lymph because I have cancer makes zero sense to Kelly Kennedy. If you're breathing, you're moving your lymph. So should you stop breathing if you have cancer? Like, that's the nonsense. Right. That's the nonsense. It's when people don't understand something, they shut it down. And the lymph is very well not understood in modern medicine. It is understood by acupuncturists. It is understood by the Ayurvedics. It is understood by the people doing European biological medicine. They all go, the first thing you do is move lymphatics. Every one of those people.
Yeah.
And then in what we call modern medicine, you mention lymph or nutrition, and they're like, what is that? What's organic food?
Yeah.
It's the food we were meant to eat. I'm going to call your food chemical, and I just have food. You have chemical food. I have food.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's because we don't have any drugs. Like, there's not drugs to do it. There's no intervention that specifically is designed to really affect the lymphatics very much from a Western medicine. So we sort of ignore it. It's like, well, if we don't have anything to give you for it, we just,
that's a really good point. I never thought about that, Dr. Brady, but that's exactly it. They don't have a pill for the lymph, so they just choose not to discuss it.
Yeah,
Same with the fascia.
There.
There's no pill you can take for lymph or fascia. It's literally the only thing you can do is be a mobile being.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to move. Yeah, because that's, I think, the thing that people don't realize is the heart's got is the pump to move your blood around your blood vessels, but the lymphatics require your physical body and your diaphragm and breathing and it requires movement of parts of your body. So if you're sitting on your ass all day at a desk, or you're sedentary, or those kind of things, or you're even injured, that becomes even more important, that you're moving your lymphatics or doing things that may take manual therapy and other therapies, because you are going to get clogged.
Well, and I mean, listen, what I do and what you just said is 20 years in clinical practice. And I say the same thing to people. You got to move, you got to move. And then this year I had an opportunity to have a client call me who was a quadriplegic. And she said, I've been listening to your work and I wondered if you think it would work for me. I said, you know what? If you're willing, let's go. So she came to the office, and on the 4th day of working together, she had a leg sensation down her left leg that she hadn't felt in 20 years. And here's the thing, because she can move her emotions and she can move her breath and she can move her mind. She can't move her physical body. And that just proved to me that it was time to take this out on a whole different way, because this is not about the physical body, folks. This is, yes, you live in the physical body, but you are a non-physical being living in this physical body. And that non-physical part of you is what heals. And when you unblock that energy to flow through the water, which is your lymph, everything goes easier. Then when you're taking those hormones, you're going to have to take less, because your body's going to receive more. And you'll need less to shift it to go in the right direction. And everything you're going to do is improved, and you're going to feel that improvement, because don't you feel better when you sleep and poop better? Come on.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said that, because it's not just your physical body, but it's the emotional, the spiritual, the electrical, all of it. It's like all of those pieces together, and they all have to be in harmony and synchronization. And particularly in the Western world, we tend to look at the physical body and sort of ignore those other parts, because again, there's no drug, right? To go, let's take this drug and fix your electrical body. It doesn't do that. So if you were to distill down maybe a couple things somebody that's listening or watching can do, what are 2 or 3 things that they could do on their own at home to just sort of help sort of start working on these things? Obviously, we're going to share some really great resources, and I know you do classes and programs and things like that, but what's a couple things that they could be doing while they're listening to us talk?
Yes. So number 1 is take a moment to just watch your breath in through your nose. Don't try to do a thing. Just watch your breath. And watch, as you watch the breath, inhale you and exhale. Just notice it. And you know what you did just there? You shifted your body into parasympathetic, because you came out of the action mode and you went to witness mode. So already your lymph is moving better. Number 2, put your hands on your ribs, right on either side of your diaphragm. And as you watch your breath, just feel that breath go more down in your diaphragm. And then on the exhale, I'm going to ask you to release the exhale through your mouth and just make a hum. Mm. Good. And now you're even deeper in a parasympathetic. And that is available for free anytime, anywhere, because you always have you. And it's the consciousness. You know, we've all find ourselves in that state of frenzy, right? I've got the list. I've got 30,000 things to do right now, but you're not good to anybody because you're not even in it. So take a moment, witness your breath, put your hands on your rib cage, and hum a sigh out. And now take a step forward in whatever direction, and you will be better served because you're more in the healing mode. That's the first thing. And second is anything that smells in your life, get rid of it. Okay? If there's a fragrance in it, if there's a chemical, it's more than likely a chemical that your body has to filter. So stop giving it more to do. So just get rid of the Glade plugins, the smelly candles. I had a woman show up for the first time to work with us today, and she had on perfume, and I hugged her and said, I'm going to give you a t-shirt. Welcome to working with me. Don't wear perfume because it's unregulated industry. And I gave her a whole bowl of essential oils and said, here, pick an oil. And she picked Jody's heart oil. I go, great. Yeah. There you go. You can have a little vibrant blue oil on me. Use that as your perfume until you can recognize that that's how toxic it is. Fabric softeners, you're smelling, like all that stuff. Just go fragrant free. Watch what happens when you go fragrant free.
Yeah.
And but it's natural fragrance. Okay, just stop it. Just say no to fragrance. Just say no to fragrance of all kinds. Say no to all smells and start.
Or even if it says natural oils, that doesn't mean it's an essential oil from a plant. Like there's a lot of subterfuge here. Did you see the studies that looked at the incident of small cell lung cancer in women, young women compared to men? So they've been, because we have this massive uptick in young women getting small cell cancer, which is the one that you often get when you smoke. And you know what they distilled it down to? Candles.
Oh my gosh.
Burning candles in your house. That is the cause of the increase in small cell lung cancer in women.
It's not funny, but they're trying to be spiritual. They're trying to like calm down. They're probably putting the candles for the bath, and they're like toxing themselves out because they got them at Bed Bath & Beyond or at Marshall's.
Yeah, and they're everywhere. They're lighting them up all the time. I was like, oh my God. Like you would think it's 100 other things, right? Something you would get, because you think I'm in a room, let's say it's 10 by 20 or 10 by 10, that it would distill into the room and it wouldn't have that much of an impact because they're not like huffing it. You know that?
No,
you know
but if you've, I have done this before where before back in the day, I knew anything about soy candles and beeswax candles and all that. I'd be like, what is this soot on the wall? Because I had this one candle in particular that I would light in the bathroom. And I was like, I got to stop lighting it. That if it's creating soot on the wall, it's creating soot in the air that I can't see. And we're more non-physical. I mean, we all know to turn off our Wi-Fi. We know how all this stuff affects us. And what I just say is, take a moment to just stop you have natural pheromones that your nose is supposed to smell of human beings to know who you're in alignment with. And with all the smelly stuff in the world, we don't have an opportunity to take that input in from that other person. And so we're not able to actually recognize our own alignment with that because there's all this other misinformation. Any input in your senses is something for your body to process, for your lymphatics to process. Smelling stuff is the easiest thing to get rid of. And then fake clothes. Like when I mean fake clothes, like fabrics that are not natural, polyester. I know this isn't easy. Don't go and throw all your clones out, but it's holidays are soon. Don't ask for Lululemons if you're in the health world. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Ask for the cotton.
For those. Yeah.
Right. Ask for cotton made clothes or wool or linen. Linen is the best. Yeah. But just look for natural fibers, and bamboo is highly processed. So don't look at bamboo. But really just try to look at like, how can I stop toxin my lymph out now that I'm starting to mobilize my lymph? And we've got a great gift for you for like the top ways that people assault their lymph that they're not aware of. Yeah. And then in there's a link where I teach you how to manually pump your own lymph. It's the steering wheel. It's the beginning, but start there. Do that a couple times a day. You brush your teeth twice a day, right?
Yeah, you just do your lymph.
So pump your lymph twice a day and teach everybody in the house, your dogs, your cats, every single person and animal has a lymphatic system. Even snakes have a lymphatic system. So snakes move plenty though, however. So, and most animals move plenty. So let's get moving and teach our kiddos, because Wi-Fi blocks it. Sedentary lifestyle blocks it. So, oh, my kid's really active. Yeah, but they're in front of computers all the time. So it's stopping the lymph. So going and making those lymph moves at night, facilitate that before they go to bed to allow them to get up in the morning and have an amazing bowel movement. That's what we're looking for. That's a good sign of health. And then I'm thirsty. And so I drink and I get hydrated.
Yes.
And that's how I go. And I go through my life I have energy. I have a symptom. I know what to do. If any symptom comes up, pump your lymph, because your trash can's full. So take out your trash. And my recommendation is to take out enough trash that you constantly don't feel symptoms, that you have to do a lot before you feel a symptom. Yeah. Because you have so much room that you've created from your lifestyle and your mindset and taking, good nutrition and looking at your labs from a functional perspective and looking at your nutrition on a deeper level. All these things have accounted for. And then I support my body to drain out. And then if I want to, I don't know, it's a bad thing we would do, Betty. I don't know. Eat a triple chocolate cake with a glass of caffeine on the side.
I was like, a glass of wine. Like,
okay,
oh my God, don't take my wine. I'm like,
okay, I don't drink, so I would never think that one. I always forget that one.
But it is one of the things that I hear that my team hears universally. I've heard universally for 20 years is don't take my wine.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of my friends, we have red wine here just for our friends. Neither one of us drinks, so it's all lost on us. I wish I did. Yeah. I love the concept of it. Yeah, so I'd love for you to have your glass of wine. Listen, this is about the 80-20 rule. This isn't about living all pristine. Yeah. But why are you wasting it on smelly candles instead of your glass of wine? Why are you wasting on your plastic clothes instead of a glass of wine? Why are you wasting it on the dumb microwave instead of healthy, pure water, and allow your body to heal and, stop going to wherever you're going that tox yourself out. Yeah. The hair salon, the nail salon, and get rid of that. And then you have more money to spend on fun things anyway, instead of things that are toxing you out. I look at a lot of what people do in society to stay young looking, and it literally costs them money to tox themselves out. The Botox injections, the eyelash extensions.
I've got lashes. I'll full on admit it. I got lashes. It's, I'm gonna like,
but okay, she decides to spend her money there. She decides, I decide to spend some of my money at Starbucks sometimes because I like a chai tea made for me. And I know I'm getting microplastics. So listen, this isn't about being perfect. This is about us being perfectly willing to admit that we're like you. We're living on this planet. We're figuring it out, and we're figuring out how to do it better. And we're better from the perspective of I feel better all the time. And I know when I can spend my immune system money and what I can spend it on. And I just choose to spend it on certain things and Betty chooses to spend on others. But it's got to be your choice. And what we are both commenting is that there's just so many things you're not choosing, you're being sold to. And we want to help you wake up to those things. So they're not toxing out your lymph.
Yeah. Yeah. So that guide, that's the Master Your Lymph, Master Your Health guide, right? That's the guide. So we'll have that in our podcast notes so everybody can go look at that. Because again, doesn't matter how much you're loading up the dumpster and the trash can, we can empty it. That's the cool thing.
Yeah. And I just ran this 21-day. So I've done 2 cohorts. I'm going to probably do one in January of next year. So if this is something you want to do, I don't know when this will come out, but it's a 21-day lymphatic breakthrough. And we had 80 some people do it the first time, and we have about 40 doing it this time. And I made it much just for my own community. From the 75-year-old woman who had fibrotic cellulitis, who was told it was terminal and only going to get worse in 21 days. Not only did it soften, but her scoliosis straightened up that she got from having the fibrotic tissue. The woman who was delightfully surprised that all her joint pain that she's been dealing in her hands for 20 years went away, her low back pain and her leg cramps just from doing lymph 21 days in a row. So they've all, of course they're staying with it. But these are people that were brand new to us. They had no idea what we were doing. They had just happened upon my email list. They just happened to join it. The majority of the people that were doing it were like clients that have been with us for some time, that I'm like, you're not getting the formula, go do the formula, and then you'll get what we're doing here better. And I'm bloomed away at people that don't know us that are just starting to put this into action, and the results they're getting. Because again, it doesn't matter their age. It matters your consistency and your compliance to that consistency, because this is a practice. It's not a pill. And what I want to be Kelly Free Kennedy to free you from the chains of needing something outside of you to feel well, but truly being able to facilitate your own healing, make choices. I want to work with her because, oh, look, she gets a great result. She's doing it, and she's willing to be honest and not listen. None of us live in a glass house. We all have things, and there's no perfectionism, because I know a lot of you think we're perfect and you're not perfect enough. And that's just not true. Betty and I are really far. We love each other so much, and we're far from perfect, but we're perfect in the fact that we're willing to lean forward, move forward, and make imperfect action, knowing that it's the right course of action. It might not be perfect, but we're going to move forward and do it because we know it's right. This is your same calling. You have an opportunity to move forward in your labyrinth of wellness and use this lowest common denominator, your lymphatics, as your tool to free you from symptoms, from pain, from aches. And then if that's pattern and it happens all the time, then work with a practitioner and go, okay, why does this keep happening? If you can't figure it out, why does this keep happening? But at least you have a tool that gets you out of feeling crappy, that gets you out of feeling like, I can't handle this. I can't go to that dinner. I can't do this thing. I don't have enough energy. I want to go, but I can't. That has to end, because we're here to live life. And if you're not loving it, if you don't have enough energy for it, then work with folks like us to help you get that energy back, because that's what you're here for, to enjoy all this, to have dancing friends like this beautiful queen here, and enjoy life, because we work hard, we play hard, and we know that you're all exactly like us. You know, that's why you're listening to us, because you want to work hard and play hard too. You just want the energy to do it. And we're here to offer all the facilitation you need to help you get that energy back.
Yes. Amen. Mic drop moment. That's so true. Kelly, this has been awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. I trust and pray that everybody's going to go home, pump and release those lymphs, and then let me know all about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Kelly, for being on Menopause Mastery. So if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment. You want me to cover a particular topic, let me know, because I love to make sure I'm serving my community. And if you happen to be listening on the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to leave a 5-star review. That helps us get out to the public and get more information to the women that want it. And thank you so much.